The galaxy had seen many wars, but never one like this. For centuries, the Vorak Dominion crushed every world they touched. Their fleets were like storms, dark and endless. Entire civilizations fell before them. Some species surrendered before the Vorak even arrived. Others tried to escape, running to distant stars. No one dared to stand and fight. But that changed the day they came to the Delta Frontier. Delta Frontier was not a rich world. It had no great minerals, no old ruins, no secret technology. It was only a human border planet, a quiet place where farmers lived under two suns, where children played in the sand, and where soldiers guarded outposts with simple metal walls. To the Vorak, it should have been an easy victory, but humans were different from the rest of the galaxy. When the Vorak scouts entered the system, they sent a message across every channel. Their voice was cold metal, almost bored. Attention, human fleet. Leave your position. Retreat, and you will be spared. Stay, and you will be destroyed. Most species obeyed this warning. But the human commander of Delta Frontier, Admiral Rowan Hale, simply stood on the bridge of his flagship and listened in silence. His eyes did not move. His hands did not shake. He looked at the stars in front of him as if he already knew the answer. The message repeated, "Retreat. You cannot win." Admiral Hale finally spoke, his voice calm and steady. Humanity is holding this line. The communication officers exchanged nervous looks. The Vorak ship on the other side went silent for a moment, as if unsure they heard correctly. Then they responded with laughter deep, cruel, echoing through the speakers, "Humans." The Vorak commander said, "You do not understand the size of the force coming. You are one wall." "We are 1,000 storms," Hell only replied. "Then let the storms come." Behind him, through the giant window of the command bridge, the human ships floated like steel giants, heavy cruisers. Long destroyers, sharp fighters, and the old carrier Horizon Dawn, all together. They formed a shining wall in space. Below, on the planet, soldiers dug trenches around the capital. Families hid in shelters. Engineers checked power lines 3 times. No one slept. Everyone knew what was coming. The Vorak arrived without warning. A giant flash tore through space as their fleet jumped in. One ship became 20, then 50, then over 100. Their dark hulls glowed with red lines like veins filled with fire. The Vorak ship spread across the sky like a shadow covering the sun. The galaxy watched. Dozens of species opened their holoscreens to see what would happen. Some believed humanity would finally retreat. Others thought the humans had lost their minds. Vorak commander spoke again. "Last warning. Retreat." "Admiral," Hale answered with only 2 words. "We stay." The battle began. Instantly, a wave of red energy blasts came from the Vorak fleet like a burning rain. Human shields flared bright blue. The shock waves shook every ship. Some smaller vessels were pushed back by the force, but none turned around. None broke the line. Inside the human battleship Vanguard, alarms screamed. Crew members were thrown from their seats. One officer yelled, "Shields at 60%. "Hold position," the captain said. "We cannot break the line." On the planet below, citizens felt tremors in the ground as debris from the space battle burned through the atmosphere. The sky turned bright white every few seconds. Children cried. Medics ran. Soldiers kept their weapons ready. Even though the fight was above them, then something changed. Human ships started to fire back, blue and white. Beams shot forward, blasting holes through the enemy formation. The Vorak were caught off guard. Their shields broke faster than they expected. One of their cruisers exploded in a flash of orange fire, scattering metal across the void. For the first time in centuries, the Vorak lost the first exchange. A shock passed through their fleet. Their commander shouted orders, enraged, return fire, smash their wall, make them kneel. But humans did not kneel. Even as fires burned inside ships and officers shouted damage reports, the fleet stayed in position. The human fighters, small and fast, flew in tight groups, weaving between enemy blasts. When one fighter took a hit and spun out, 3 others moved to cover its place instantly. It was not just bravery, it was unity. The Vorak could not understand it. On one of the alien ships, Vorak officer asked his commander, "Why do they not retreat? Their losses grow. Their line should break." The commander stared at the human formation with confusion and frustration. "Because," he said slowly, "they fight like they have something worth dying for." The battle grew louder, brighter, more violent. Human ships groaned under pressure, but still did not move back. Even when their shields flickered, even when their hulls cracked, they stood strong. This was the moment the galaxy noticed something new, something terrifying, something powerful. Humanity was not retreating. They were holding the line. At the end of the first hour of battle, the Vorak commander finally understood something he had never imagined. "Admiral," he said, "opening a channel again, you are outnumbered. Your fleet is damaged. Why do you continue?" Admiral Hale looked at the screen, eyes calm, voice steady. "Because this line protects our people, and we do not run from anyone." The Vorak commander felt something he had never felt before. Fear Part 1 ends as the camera zooms out, showing the massive human wall facing the endless Vorak fleet. The sky burns with fire and energy. Ships explode like stars dying. Yet the human line does not move even a single step. The galaxy watches in silence. Humanity has shown something new. A line that cannot be broken. Asterisk, the battle over Delta Frontier did not slow down. It only grew louder. Sparks from shattered ships lit the dark sky like falling stars. Every minute, the human wall trembled under the weight of the Vorak assault. But even after heavy damage, even after losing ships, the humans still refused to retreat. Admiral Rowan Hale stood at the center of his ship's command deck. His uniform torn at the shoulder, his hair dusted with smoke from a small explosion earlier, yet his eyes never left the window. He watched the space in front of him like a man staring at a door he refused to let someone break. The human communication officer spoke with a shaking voice. "Admiral, 3 destroyers down, 2 cruisers badly hit, shields dropping across the line." Hale's answer was steady as stone. "Hold position." Everyone expected those words by now, but hearing them still sent a strange fire through their chests. Humanity had no interest in running. They were fighting for something more than victory. They were fighting for their existence. The Vorak commander, Lord Voker, watched the scene from his own dreadnought. His claws tapped the metal table in front of him in frustration. The humans should have broken by now. Every species broke after facing a Vorak fleet. But these humans, they were different. Voker leaned forward and hissed to his officers, "Prepare the next wave. Use the shard cannons. Burn their shields." "Commander?" The Vorak ships rearranged in perfect formation. Suddenly, hundreds of red beams shot forward again. This time, the beams were thinner, sharper, and far more deadly. They sliced through space like blades. Human shields flashed violently. Sparks burst. Engines roared. For a moment, entire sections of the human line flickered. Like a wall of light struggling to stay alive, inside the battleship Vanguard, the floor shook so hard the crew fell to their knees. A young sensor officer shouted, main shields dropping to 30%. "We need more power." The captain yelled, double quotes, "Where would you like me to steal it from?" The engineer replied, half panicked, "We are already running the core at 90. Find a way. We break, we die." Above them, the human line started to bend. Not retreating, but bending under fire. The ships pushed forward again, refusing to let the enemy pass. Then something unexpected happened. A bright blue beam suddenly tore through the battlefield. It was thin, precise, and faster than any human weapon used before. The beam hit a Vorak destroyer, piercing straight through its hull. The destroyer exploded instantly, scattering thousands of burning fragments across space. Every soldier, every crew member, even Admiral Hale looked up in shock. "What was that?" The weapons officer asked. Hale answered calmly. "That was the ion spear." The ion spear was humanity's newest weapon, one kept secret for years. Few even knew it existed. But today humanity had no choice but to show it. 2 more blue beams fired, ripping through a Vorak cruiser and cracking the armor of a battleship. The Vorak formation broke for the first time. Silence filled the Vorak bridge. Commander Voker froze. What? What is this weapon? He growled. His officers trembled. Humans did not have technology like this. They cannot pierce Vorak shields. Yet the proof was floating above them, 3 dead Vorak ships, burning like dying suns. On Delta Frontier, civilians crowded around underground screens, watching the live broadcast. Children pointed at the flashes in the sky. Mothers whispered prayers. Old veterans clenched their fists. Memories of past wars burning in their hearts. For the first time, they saw something they never expected. The Vorak were losing ships. Human applause echoed in shelter halls. Fighters cheered inside their cockpits. Officers banged their fists on metal tables. But even in this moment of hope, Admiral Hale spoke with caution. "This is not victory," he said. "This is only the beginning." He was right. The Vorak fleet reorganized instantly. Their wounded pride burned hotter than their weapons. They launched their elite ships, black-armored dread hunters. Known for tearing through enemy lines like beasts, a new wave of enemy firestorm struck the humans. Explosions lit the sky one after another. A human battleship, Starhammer, took a direct hit and split in half. Hundreds of crew members were lost. The debris floated like ghosts. The celebration among human forces disappeared. Reality returned with painful clarity. Yet still, humans did not break. Captain Vale of the frontline cruiser Shieldbreaker yelled through smoke, "All guns fire. Do not let them push us back." Her ship, already damaged, pushed forward even harder. Her crew followed their captain without hesitation. They would rather burn than surrender. The Vorak began to understand something terrifying. Humanity did not fear death like other species. They fought like their souls were made of iron. On Vokar's ship, an officer spoke quietly. "Commander, they are still advancing," Voker snarled. "Impossible. They are wounded, outnumbered." But it was true. Even with broken hulls and failing shields, the human line moved forward, not back. Forward, it was unthinkable. Human fighters, small ships called wolves, flew straight at the enemy formation, weaving through fire like angry sparks. They fired missiles at close range, forcing Vorak ships to break formation. Wolves were never meant for long battles. But today, every pilot flew like they were writing history. Inside one wolf fighter, pilot Arya Cade whispered to herself, "Not one step back. Not today." She dove through a wave of enemy fire, firing her last missile into a Vorak engine core. The explosion shook her ship, but she smiled. Across the galaxy, screens flickered as millions watched in shock. What started as a hopeless defense had turned into the galaxy's most unexpected fight. Commentators spoke in disbelief. The humans. They are not retreating. They're holding the line. No. They are pushing the Vorak back. A new fear spread across the Vorak fleet. Fear of humanity. Part 2 ends with Admiral Hale breathing slowly, looking at the burning battlefield. His voice is quiet, but strong. "Now," he said, "they know we do not run." The battle over Delta Frontier was no longer a normal fight. It had become something far greater, something alive, something burning with human spirit. Every blast, every explosion, every scream of metal carried a message across the stars. Humanity will not move. Humanity will not fall. But the Vorak Dominion did not accept defeat easily. Inside the Vorak command ship, black smoke curled through the halls as sparks rained from the ceiling. The elite officers stood around a glowing holotable, their reptile-like faces tight with frustration. Commander Voker slammed his clawed hand so hard on the table that it cracked. "These humans," he growled, "fight as if pain means nothing to them. Why do they give so much for one simple world?" One subordinate answered with a trembling voice. Maybe they see this world as more than ground. Maybe they protect the people on it." Voker glared, his eyes cold. People are replaceable. They must understand that. But the Vorak did not understand humans. On the human flagship, Admiral Rowan Hale stood at the command bridge. Gripping the railing as new reports came in, Admiral the tactical officer said, "The Vorak elite hunters are breaking through Sector 9. Send the wolves," Hale said. The officer hesitated. "Sir, they are running low on fuel and ammunition. Send them anyway." Across the battle space, 15 wolf fighters peeled off and flew toward Sector 9 like streaks of silver light. Their engines roared as they weaved through enemy laser fire. Each pilot knew the same truth: this might be the last time they fly. Inside Wolf 7. Pilot Arya Cade breathed slowly, her hands tightening around the controls. No retreat. "Not today," she whispered. She pushed her fighter through a narrow gap between two enemy battleships, so close that the heat of their cannons shook her cockpit. She targeted the engine core of a Vorak hunter and fired her last 2 torpedoes. Both hit. The Vorak ship exploded in a red fireball, and Arya's small fighter spun out of control. Warning lights flashed everywhere. "Come on, hold together," she whispered. Her ship regained balance just as a second enemy ship fired at her. Arya closed her eyes for a moment, ready to meet her end, but another wolf shot past her, taking the blast. The small fighter exploded instantly. Arya gasped. That was Kai. Her voice cracked. Her closest friend, gone in a flash. But even through grief, she pushed forward. Humanity needed her. The line needed her. Her loss became power. She flew back into the fight with fire in her eyes, across Delta Frontier's surface. The situation was no different. Human soldiers fought in trenches illuminated by the burning sky above. The ground shook with each battle in orbit. Dust rolled across the fields. But the soldiers held strong. Sergeant Leon Ward stood on a dirt ridge with her unit, staring at the falling debris streaking like meteors. One soldier whispered, "If the fleet falls, we are next." Ward raised her rifle and spoke calmly. "Then we buy them time. Every second counts." Her unit nodded. Fear lived inside them, but courage lived stronger. Meanwhile, inside the command bunker deep beneath the capital city, engineers worked frantically around a massive machine hidden behind heavy doors. The Hylian Array, humanity's secret project, pulsed with blue light. One engineer, Dr. Elias Thorne, wiped sweat from his face and checked the console again. "It is still not ready," he said. "If we fire now, it may overload," another engineer argued. "If the Vorak break through, we will not have a chance to fire at all." Thorne stared at the screen showing the battle above. Human ships were breaking apart one by one, lighting the sky with silent flames. He whispered, "Admiral Hale, we will hold as long as we can." Back in space. The situation grew worse. The Vorak released their newest weapon, massive solar cleavers. Long, spear-like ships designed to cut through enemy lines with energy blades. They glowed bright gold as they charged forward. When the first cleaver hit the human line, it sliced straight through a frigate, cutting it into 2 burning halves. Another cleaver struck, then another. The human line trembled. On the bridge, Admiral Hale felt the floor shake violently. "Sparks burst from overhead cables, Admiral," the navigator shouted. "If this continues, they will break through in minutes." Hale raised his voice for the whole ship to hear. "Listen to me, all hands. This is not the moment to fall back. This is the moment to strike back. Humanity does not bend. Humanity does not break. Hold the line." Every crew member shouted as one, "Hold the line!" Their voices echoed through every corridor, and then something unexpected happened. The human fleet moved as a single giant wave. Even damaged ships pushed forward, engines screaming. Human destroyers rammed cleavers head-on, sacrificing themselves to stop the blades. Fighters flew through fire as if their wings were made of iron. The Vorak could not understand it. Their formation faltered. On his bridge, Voker stepped back in disbelief. They are counterattacking? While losing? He whispered. He had studied war for decades. He had fought countless species, but he had never witnessed anything like This humanity was fighting like a wounded animal that refused to die. Even worse for the Vorak, the humans were winning. Ground. The wolf fighters cleared Sector 9. The remaining human battleships fired together, tearing through a cluster of enemy cruisers. One Vorak hunter exploded so brightly that the flash turned night into day on Delta Frontier. Admiral Raoul Hale watched the white explosion reflect in the glass of the bridge. His voice was quiet, but powerful. This is why we hold. Part 3 ends with a shocking final twist. At the edge of the system, a massive shadow appears. Another Vorak fleet, even larger than the first. Entering through a hyperspace tear, the galaxy shivers. The real test has only begun. The battlefield over Delta Frontier burned like a second sun. Human ships, cracked and damaged, floated in scattered formation. Vorak wreckage formed metal clouds drifting in slow motion. Fires glowed in the darkness like angry stars. But the sky suddenly changed. A massive ripple of blue light spread across space, followed by the arrival of a second Vorak fleet larger. Darker and more terrifying than the first, their ships appeared one after another through a tearing hyperspace gate. Stretching across the horizon like a metal ocean, the Vorak had not come to finish a battle. They had come to erase humanity. On the human flagship, Admiral Rowan Hale stood frozen for a moment. Even he, who had not flinched once during the entire war, felt the weight of this sight press hard on his chest. The communications officer spoke with a trembling voice. "Admiral, 30 new dreadnoughts. More than 200 warships, sir. This is the largest Vorak force ever seen." The entire bridge fell silent. For the first time, someone whispered, "We cannot win this." Hale closed his eyes, inhaling deeply. Silence pressed around him. Then he spoke with a calm strength that settled the entire room. "We hold the line. Until our last breath." Those words carried through the ship, down every hall, every deck, every station. Soldiers, engineers, pilots, Medexa looked up. Some were bleeding. Some were terrified. Some were exhausted. But all understood this was humanity's moment. Not to escape. Not to survive. But to show the galaxy who they were. The new Vorak fleet wasted no time. Within seconds, they fired a storm of red light that filled the sky like a burning wave. Human shields cracked instantly. Several ships burst into flame and drifted away as glowing ashes. The Wolves, already damaged, launched again with engines sparking. Arya Cade led them, her heart pounding but steady. Her fighter rattled with every turn. "Wolves," she said, "today we are the teeth of humanity. We fly until the sky disappears," her squadron answered with tired but brave voices. Wolves never retreat. They shot forward. On Delta Frontier's surface, the ground shook. In trenches, human soldiers felt the tremors from the orbital bombardments. Sergeant Leanne Ward steadied her unit, watching the sky light up with red flashes. One young soldier whispered, "This is it, isn't it? The end." Ward placed her hand on his shoulder. "No. This is the moment we stand the tallest." In the underground bunker, the Hellion array hummed with power. The machine pulsed brighter and brighter, filling the chamber with blue light. Engineers struggled with every passing second. Dr. Elias Thorne stared at the readings. "We need more time," he said. "Just a few more minutes." "But Admiral Hale is running out of ships," another engineer replied. Thorne clenched his jaw. "Then we must finish before they stop him." Above them, Admiral Hale watched as enemy ships burst through the human line. Alarms blared. Smoke and sparks filled the air. Officers shouted damage reports faster than they could be processed. "Admiral," the navigator shouted, "the Vorak dreadnought is charging its main cannon. A planet killer." Hale's eyes sharpened. "Target. Delta Frontier." "Sir." Everyone on the bridge froze. If the planet was destroyed, millions would die instantly, and humanity's last stand would be wiped from existence. "Admiral," the weapons officer said, "we do not have the power to stop that blast." Lay whispered, "We do. One final hope." He opened a direct channel to the Hellion Array bunker. Dr. Thorne, how long? Thorne looked at the flickering machine. 2 minutes. Maybe less. But we do not have enough power for a full charge. Take what you need, Hale said. But Admiral, take it. For my ship. The bridge crew turned to him in shock. Sir, if we give power to the array, our shields will fail. Hall nodded. Yes, and if we do nothing, millions die. His voice softened. Transfer all power. The lights on the bridge dimmed. Engines slowed. Shields faded into nothing. The ship was now naked against the storm, and then it came. The Vorak. Dreadnought fired its planet killer. A giant red beam shot toward Delta Frontier like the finger of a god striking down. It cut through space with impossible speed. Civilians screamed in shelters. Soldiers braced for impact. Engineers at the array ran to the machine, ready to activate it manually if needed. Admiral Hale watched the beam through the window, knowing his ship could no longer protect anyone. But at the very last second, the Hellion array fired. A giant column of blue energy erupted from the planet like a rising sun. It struck the red beam head-on. The sky flashed white. Time seemed to freeze, then boom. The Vorak dreadnought exploded in a giant sphere of violet and orange fire, spreading across space like a dying star. Its fragments burned away into nothing. Silence followed. A silence so deep, it felt like the galaxy was holding its breath. The remaining Vorak ships saw the destruction of their strongest weapon. They saw the humans still standing. They saw a world they could not break, and for the first time in the Dominion's history, they retreated. Their entire fleet turned away, engines flaring bright as they vanished into hyperspace. One after another, thousands of red lights disappeared from the sky. Humanity had won, not because they were stronger, not because they had more ships, but because they refused to move, because they held the line. On the flagship, the bridge crew erupted in cheers. Some cried. Some laughed. Some simply collapsed from relief. Admiral Hale finally breathed out, a soft smile touching his face. Across the galaxy, broadcasts spread the image of the human victory. Species who once thought humanity weak now understood the truth. Do not challenge humans. They do not run. They do not break. They hold the line. And from that day forward, the galaxy changed forever.